Hi, everyone. It seems that we are live just about now. I am Antoine, co-founder of Cubing Life, and here we have Tommy Cherry, the North American champion for Rubik's Cube Blindfolded, as of yesterday, right? Well, I mean, were you
Yeah.
the North American champ before as well? I'm assuming you
Yeah, so I
probably
guess
were.
two-time as of yesterday.
Yeah, now two-time national and North American, continental, world, everything champion, basically, right?
Guess
So
so.
here we have
I believe
Tommy,
I'm
and I
nice.
see there's a few people in the chat already. We have some blindfolded solves that Tommy is going to do an analysis of today. It's going to be a live analysis on air. So, right, I don't think Tommy has had the chance to check them out yet because he's been very busy becoming everything champion. So it's going to have to be on air. So you're going to get to see Tommy's live reactions to these blindfolded solves and see what he really thinks of them, right? This is not a pre-prepared skit. It's real deep thoughts about what you think about these blindfolded solves. So, Tommy, have you been able to access them? Are you able to see them?
Yep. So I pulled up the first one. It's by Nicholas Carpenter, a 5 minute and 9 second solve. So I'm thinking I'll skip over the memo for this one because there's not too much I can say just from watching somebody look at a cube. But I'll look at the execution and give some of my thoughts on what can be improved.
Uh-huh.
So, fine if I share my screen so that I can
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and share your screen. Yeah, and so for those who are new to this podcast or to this live stream, as I mentioned, I'm co-founder of Cubing Life, and so Cubing Life we have courses and coaching, and so if you are interested in any of them, we currently have, for example, Tommy has blindfolded courses, so he gives courses. He currently has 2 courses available. So one is an advanced blind solving course where he teaches freestyle and everything that's really required to be good at blindfolded, essentially, right? And then there's another one which is advanced blindfolded solving techniques, which really goes even further beyond and really has everything that you need in order to become a pro blindfolded solver, right? So to kind of to get to the absolute highest level possible. And so if you're interested in either of those blindfolded courses, or if you're interested in any courses, for example, Advanced 3x3, which Tommy also teaches with us, you can check out our website, which is below. It's cubing.life. And if you want to register for any courses, you can get 5% off by using the code TommyCLA5. So now let's get on with the blindfolded analysis.
Sounds good. Thanks for the introduction, Antoine. So let's see. I'm going to skip over to exec. Just need a second for it to load. Okay, so it looks like his orientation is white on top, green in front, so that makes it easier for me to analyze because that's what I use as well. Let's see. Just gonna move this lamp to make the lighting a little better. Okay, so I guess the memo was about 3 minutes. Let's see, maybe a little longer. Okay, so let's say like roughly 3 minutes 40 seconds. Okay, but the splits are here. Okay, so like 3.5 minutes. For the memo FT. So let's see what this could. Okay. He might have a different lettering scheme for me. Let's see. I'm a little confused by the corner letters written in the description. As for the edges, I think we just have a different scheme overall, unless one of us misscrambled. Let's double check. Looks like we have the same scramble. So yeah, I think I'll just assume that he uses a different lettering scheme. Okay, executing edges first, using M2. Okay, so I'm just gonna do the first few algs to catch up. So I mean, these are pretty standard, like M2 algs. nothing I can comment on too much as of now. I think when you're getting like 5 minute solves, exec shouldn't really be what you need to work on the most anyway. I think memo tends to be the issue more at that speed, which kind of this all kind of goes to show that as well, because like 3.5 minutes were spent on memo, whereas a minute and a half were spent on exec. And I think at least when you're solving at a high level, memo should actually be faster than exec. So the fact that memo is almost twice as slow is no, over twice as slow here is an indicator that memo needs more work than exec. So I'm not going to spend too long on this solve individually because I think memo is the main thing to work on. And I was just informed that Nicholas uses his own lettering scheme. So yeah, that makes sense. So I guess that's why I was confused about the letters. So anyways, I guess just like some general tips. If you're getting like 3.5 minute memo at this level, is you could look into using Roman rooms if you haven't already. Since we have limited time today, I'm not going to go fully into detail about like how Roman rooms works. But there are a lot of tutorials out there on YouTube. You could just look it up, like Roman rooms tutorial for Rubik's Cube Blindfolded or method of loci, LOCI. But the idea is that you're just like creating images based on your letter pairs and putting them at specific locations you're familiar with. Because our visual memory tends to be a lot stronger than our auditory memory, so we can hold on to it for longer without as much effort. So I think at this level that can be pretty helpful. Eventually you'll want to switch to something more that like requires less levels of translation. So what I mean by that, Roman runes is technically one extra level of translation because you're like not only coming up with an image but also putting it in a specific place, which does require an extra step to the process. So like it's taking more time than you would take if you were able to just not do that step. So hopefully that makes sense. Isn't rooms only for multi-blind or big blind? So Roman rooms is mainly for big blind and multi-blind. But as a beginner, I think it's not a bad idea to use for 3-blind either. And there aren't like high-level solvers that use Roman rooms for 3-blind. But I think when your memo is like over 3 minutes, it's probably an indicator that you have to review your memo too many times. And by using Roman rooms, you'll kind of be able to mitigate that for a little while. And then, after practicing rooms for a little while, you'll be able to use even fewer reviews, even after like weaning off of the whole dependency on rooms and like switching back to something more audio based, or like audio for edges and images for corners. I do recommend that even at a high level you stick to images for corners, and just to kind of make this clear early on, I'd say like memoing corners first and then edges, and solving edges, solving corners is the way to go. That's how just about all high level blind solvers solve. And even if you're not like sub one, like let's say in the 2 to 3 minute range or whatever, like that's still the order I'd recommend. It's just you'll have to review your memo more at that point. But by sticking with a structured system like that, you'll be able to like cut down on your reviews over time. Anyways, I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there. But let's see what else we can find from Nicholas's solve. Right now, it's just pretty standard M2 algs. I mean, we're seeing like a few pauses between each one, which is to be expected. If you're averaging like 5 minutes, I think like that just goes. Even though this is technically during the exec phase, it's a memo issue because the extra time you're taking is a result of not being able to recall your memo fast enough. So just like sorry, I have this like echo that I hear because my phone audio doesn't completely turn off for some reason. So if I'm like pausing at random points, it's just because like I get distracted by hearing my own voice. So trying to work through that the best I can. But yeah, basically, so what I was saying was you want to like really focus on maximizing your think ahead, which mainly just comes down to like making a conscious effort to think about your next letter pair while you're doing your current alg. To be able to do that, you'll need to get used to your algs really well, because like you want to be dedicating the least energy possible to like thinking about the algs themselves. Anyways, you know, that I guess that's kind of the main takeaways from Nicholas's solve. I think like there's not too much of a need to get super analytical about like the execution when it's just like old Pacman. Because it doesn't really matter what algs you use at that point. You just want to have a better flow to your solves. So let's, in the interest of time, I think we can probably move on now to our next one. So let's see. We've got here, actually just gonna stop screen sharing for a sec. Let's see. Just getting this next one pulled up. I think my internet went out for a sec. Just gonna pull up the live stream on my end so that I can like see if anybody says anything in the chat. Okay, so I have the second solve pulled up. Let me screen share that. Okay, I'm just gonna talk through my phone mic because since my internet just went out, it like kicked me out of the room on my computer for some reason. So I'm just gonna take a minute to join back. Sorry for the technical difficulties here, but working through it as fast as we can. Let's see. Okay, I'm back on my computer. So I'm going to screen share the second solve. This one is by Octavio, a former 3x3 student of mine. So let's get that one up on the screen. Okay. So white on top, green in front. Okay, so I guess this is a 4-minute execution video. Memo probably wasn't included, which is probably a good thing because, like like I was saying earlier, there's not too much I can analyze as far as memo goes, just from like watching somebody solve. I think the most improvement you'll get from memo will just come from like hearing advice, like hearing generic advice and just applying it to your own solves. Like memo is a lot less straightforward, admittedly, than memo as far as the improvement arc goes, just because like there is a general system you want to follow of like having a predefined structure to your memo, like the order in which you review things, and the number of times you review things. But it's on some solves it's a lot easier than others because of the just variety there is, the inherent variety of scramble difficulty, and sometimes certain pairs just stick more naturally than others to you. So I guess I'll just reiterate a little bit of what I was saying earlier about how you
Hey Tommy, everything good over there? It seems like you have your audio and screen frozen right now.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it looks like my internet went out again. I I'm just trying to join back as soon as possible on my computer right now. I didn't even realize it went out. Uh, let's see.
Yeah, it might be worth just sticking with your phone or.
Yeah, oh, echo. Okay. Okay, I'm back on my computer. Yeah, I guess the problem with like sticking with my phone is that I can't screen share
Oh,
the
that's right.
solves. Maybe if you're able to do that, if this issue arises, that would be greatly appreciated. But I guess for now we can
Yeah.
also just hope that it doesn't happen again, but no guarantees. Um, so,
Yeah, Octavia says it's so bad. I don't think that it's the internet that is conspiring to not show your solve. I think it's a genuine issue. We definitely want to show your solve, Octavia. Today
yeah,
we want to analyze solves. It doesn't matter how bad it is. If you think it's bad, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I'm not entirely sure how long I was frozen for, but I was kind of just reiterating a few of the things from Nicholas's solve. Like you're in the same general ballpark as far as like how long the solve is taking. I don't know the full solve time because I didn't see the memo in the video, but like I would I'd say I'm pretty confident that you took somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, Octavio, but I think at that stage, like the things to work on are pretty much the same as what I said for Nicholas, where you kind of just want to try out Roman rooms. Because I guess I'll just give a quick anecdote. When I was averaging like 6 minutes on three blind, I was kind of stuck for a while because couldn't I couldn't wrap my head around like how you can just like review your memo less and still get it to stick. It's like really a matter of finding a system that works for you, and I think different systems work for like different stages of solvers. Um, Specifically, like when you're a beginner, using Roman rooms is really good because uh, you're kind of like hacking your brain to like hold on to the memo for longer by associating your images with a specific place you're actually familiar with. Um, so like the first Roman room I ever used was my bedroom, and I would think about like 5 different locations around that room and use the same 5 locations every time. And it also helps to like use an order of locations that makes sense. So just like going around clockwise, like you don't want to be jumping around all over the place because that's gonna like confuse you if you're not used to the order. And even if you are used to the order of locations, like by making things random and not really intuitive, like it is more likely than not to ruin the flow of things. So yeah, just like am I even sharing the screen right now? I guess not. I'm not gonna go too deep into execution for that one because I think it would be a little bit repetitive from what I was saying before. There are noticeable pauses between each L, which is like, it still comes down to improving your memo because like it means that your think ahead could be improved upon. And yeah, without saying the same thing too many times, I just want to like emphasize, Roman rooms is definitely something I would recommend looking into. I'm going to move on to the next one now. Okay, so I guess this is kind of quite different from the other ones I was just going over. We have a 23 submitted by, let's see, Henry. I think that's his name. Here, I'm going to share my screen in just a sec. I'm just going to prepare my cube. Oh, let's see. I've been informed that this person found Roman rooms quite hard to do as a result of aphantasia. Yeah, so that is a very valid concern. But something to keep in mind is that even like some of the world's top multi-blinders have this condition as well, and it doesn't stop them. And here's why: you don't actually have to like very clearly picture like the actual like what the image itself looks like. You can think about like the concept of something being in a certain place. So like a story that's happening. Like when you read a book, you don't have to like come up with images and like think about how the images are interacting as you like go through the plot. You just like think about it as like, oh, this is happening in like this setting. It kind of just like flows from one idea to the next, and you're still able to understand it without like fully creating a whole colorful picture in your head of like what everything looks like. So what I would recommend looking into, if you haven't already, is Graham Siggins and Mark Boyanowski. They gave a seminar at Nationals 20 U.S. Nationals 2018, I believe. It's called like Multi-Line You Can Do It Too. So just like look that up on YouTube, Multi-Line You Can Do It Too, and they gave a lot of interesting insights about that. I'm not gonna go too deep into that because the main focus of this is three blind, and Roman rooms is mainly for multi-blind, but at least for beginners, Roman rooms is not a bad idea. Anyways, let's share the screen for the next solve. Got this scramble over here. I'll give everybody a sec to follow along with that before pulling up the solve itself. I also have to solve my cube because I misscrambled. And if anybody needs to back at the scramble, I guess you can just rewind. Or maybe it's more convenient if I open up the YouTube video in a separate tab. Yeah, because like we've got the scramble in the description, so I don't know, I'll still have to like toggle back and forth by scrolling. Okay, well, let's just do the scramble from the description. You know what? Best bet is to probably put it in the chat now that I think about it. That way you won't have to like rewind the video or whatever. Oh. One sec.
Hey, Tommy, anything I can help with?
So no, I'm just switching over to a different account because I didn't realize it's subscribers only. I just don't subscribe to anybody through my main account, so I just posted the scramble on another account in the chat. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Yeah, I'm just gonna reshare my screen.
If you post it in the Zoom chat, I can help you post it into the live stream chat.
Yeah, that's easier. And maybe if you're able to like pin the message or something, that could probably be good.
Yeah, it's in the chat right now.
All right, perfect. Okay, so yeah, I'll just full screen the solve now. Okay, so another white on top, green in front solver. Convenient for me, so that's good. Okay, I'm gonna probably just play this frame by frame for execution. Actually, let's just get an estimate of memo. Okay, it looks like it started at about 17 seconds into the video. And okay, so this was some pretty fast memo, like 6 or 7 seconds. So kind of having the opposite problem here from the other solvers so far, it seems. I'd say the memo was disproportionately fast, which is honestly like a good position to be in because memo improvement tends to be a lot less straightforward for most people. So let's look into how you can improve on execution. I will say the video quality is a little bit low, so it might be unclear at times what moves are being done, but I'll try my best to point things out. So I guess assuming he does edges first, you would have UF to actually I assume he uses UF as his buffer. Let's see. Yeah. So UF to LD to LU. And by the way, if you are using 3-style and don't already use the UF buffer, which is right here, I would definitely recommend that. That's, it generally makes for the fastest algs by a good margin compared to any other buffer. So, that'll definitely help to maximize the flow of your solves. If you already know three style, you know more than likely already know that, but just figured I'd make it clear because it is very important. Okay. So I'm trying to just figure out exactly what out he did here. I guess I'll double check if there's like a reconstruction in the description. Nah. Okay. So okay. For that one, I'm not too sure, but I'll show what some algs I would recommend. So what I use, you do L, E prime, L prime here. I guess I'll show how the pieces move, so how we can track them. So we have, they're right here, G and E, or if you use best, I guess LD and LU to keep it universal. So by doing the L, they get put in the E layer. E prime, they're both in the back now. L prime puts this on the bottom, and then a U. This is definitely one of the more convoluted setups I use in a com. Actually, I think this is literally like the longest setup I use, tied with some other cases, because like you're doing a 5-move setup to a 4-mover. So the only reason I use such a long setup here is because it makes for an alg that flows really well. Generally, I would be against using such a long one, but by doing L, E prime, L prime, U, we're left with a 5-mover with like L and E moves, so it becomes like this to here to here. So it looks like that. And then you can undo the set of moves. Oh, I did the inverse. But anyways, same idea. Let's consider some other algs as well. Let me just double check. I think it was LD first. I'm just gonna look back at the solve. Oh yeah, it was LD first. Okay. So if you don't want to use like that crazy long setup move and maybe it doesn't come too intuitively to you, something else you could do is just an F. And then you are left with a oh, okay. So I've been informed that the first com was, let's see, U prime, R prime, and then we have this A mover. Yeah, that's not a bad option. Let's see. I don't really have any gripes with that one. I guess I would venture to say it has a bit, it flows a little less, I don't think its flow is quite as good as the other one I went over. But I don't think it's going to hold you back too much as long as you're finger checking it well. So I'll just quickly go over how I finger check that. U prime. I'm treating the R prime as an LY prime. So I'm doing a 1 regrip here, which puts me in a pretty convenient grip for the rest of the alg. And then I guess we're regripping our left hand again at the very end of the alg. Let's see. So one of my students, Viet, said for most of the 3-style columns, I just set up into a U interchange. Yeah, there are a lot of cases that's good for. Some more than others. I guess as we go through these examples, you'll be exposed to a wider variety of like setups and interchanges you can do. So because I think that's something I can't instantly give you this solution to, but as you like see more and more examples, you'll get a better understanding. So let's keep it going. I guess there was one more column I wanted to show for like here to here. You could just do an F, and then you're left with a 5-mover in the E layer. So that doesn't have the greatest flow to it. Like the F and then L and E moves is a little awkward, but it's so short. And I'd say it comes more intuitively than the other two algs we went over for most people. So it's worth considering if you're a beginner to 3-style. If you're like really trying to optimize your algs, then maybe not as much. But it's not an exact science, and it could still like end up being the best alg for you. You really just got to get a feel for what you're most consistent at. Okay, let's see. Octavio said, "Do I have a 3-style sheet with the comms I use?" So I don't, unfortunately. I never got around to making one. I guess my best advice for that is, I think the best one is Elliot Kobolansky's sheet. You can find a bunch of different comp sheets on bestsiteever.ru. and just go to like the blind tables section. And I there are definitely like a significant number of deviations that I take from Elias comps. Like not all of them are the same. I mean, um, so I guess to get a better grasp of like the different ones I use, you could just kind of watch my solve videos, and almost all my three blind solve videos on YouTube, there are like reconstructions in the description. So um, you'll yeah, the link is bestsiteever.ru. It's, I guess, might as well just check if that site is still good. Here is it. Tables. So like, I think Elliot's is the best one. I mean, Gramps is good too. You could just look at both. You don't have to stick to a single one. You could even like try out the other ones. Uh, I guess when you're like, in your early stages of freestyle and coming up with what comps to use, you want to mostly like think of them on your own. But if you can't think of something good, then that is when I'd recommend consulting one of these tables. Um, so yeah, I may eventually make a comp sheet of my own, but for now, that does not quite exist. Um, let's keep this going. I'm sure this next com is just a straightforward 8 mover. Yeah. So it's RD to UR. So here's how I would execute it. R prime, E prime, R, that's my insertion. So I'm pushing the E prime with my left middle finger, then a U prime interchange. Okay. Oh, I couldn't follow when watching in full speed. Okay, let's go back for a sec. Okay, so for FD, UB, it looks like what he did was a D and a U at the same time. Let's see. Oh yeah, I guess I've been taking a while on this. So I'm going to try to move at a little bit of a faster rate in the interest of time. So yeah, I'll just show what I would use for this comp. You can do R prime. So this R prime doesn't do anything, but it like makes so that you don't have to regrip at the beginning, which can help with flow. So R prime, F prime, and then you just have an 8 mover here to here to here. Yeah. Why do I use my middle finger instead of index? Oh, I assume you're talking about the E moves. So generally, it's just good practice. The grip that you're in by default makes it so that doing E moves with your pointer finger is just like often awkward and like messes with the flow of your solves. In fact, I can't really think of any cases where I would recommend doing E moves with pointer besides like when you do E2s and you want to double click it. So like an example where I would recommend that. Let me just grab another cube quick. So like, no, not that one. This one. No, not okay. Third time's a charm. Here we go. So you are inserting this edge into here with R E2 R prime. So I would double click it there. And yeah, so that I think pretty much only E2s is when I'd recommend using your pointer finger. It just ends up you end up being able to have a much more stable grip of the cube when you're doing the E moves with your middle finger. And like Well, I think this is because many of the algs that use E moves also use U moves, and you want to be able to do the U move conveniently, so you could do that with your pointer finger. Whereas if you're using your pointer finger for the E moves already, then you're kind of overworking it by using it for the E moves and the U moves. So, anyways, let's keep going. I'm not going to go too deep into like each of the individual cases. I think just like watching faster solvers, finger trick their cases in actual solves, or like just looking up videos of like um, you know, experienced freestyle users like slowly finger tricking their comms. I don't think there are that many videos of that type of thing out there, but just like um, watching solves in slow mo can give you a better idea of like what finger tricks to use. Um, I I can't say anything like too specific as of now because like I guess we only have so much time and it would take a while to like just start going through a bunch of cases individually. But if you sign up for my 3 course, you will have a lot more time to like get into the nitty gritty of like what finger tricks you should use for different types of cases. Um, let's just like watch the tail end of this solve in full speed so that I can see if there's anything noticeable about like the flow. I guess like the turning looked a little rough. Um, so for that, like simplest thing I can say is to just like calm down. Um, which is obviously easier said than done. But like, I have this like routine for drilling my algs where what I do is like I go through each case one by one, in like alphabetical order. So like if we're talking about like best notation, then like A B would be the first case. So I would do the alg. That was actually pretty smooth. But like if I locked up on it at all, then I would like do it again, but really slowly to like really make sure that precise finger tricks are being done correctly. And then slowly level up, going gradually faster until like I feel pretty consistent at it at full speed. And then you would just move on to the next case. By like doing it slowly and smoothly the first few times, you get to like build up upon that without sacrificing like fluidity. Because if you turn too rough, that does often end up being a problem. Let's see. Just practice using your middle finger to get comfortable with. Yeah. So going back to the E moves thing, I would definitely recommend practicing with your middle finger for E moves. If there's a case that like you're like confused about how to do it with middle finger, then you could feel free to ask in the chat, and I could like show you how I would finger trick it. But yeah, generally I would say I just use your middle finger for those. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one is from Viet, another former student of mine. Just need a sec to pull up the video. Oh, I don't think I have access to the video. Okay, Viet, if you're here, I sent a request to access the video of your solve. In the meantime, though, I'll look at the last one, which is from Peter. Okay. Looks like I probably don't have access to this one either. Although I was given a written description about the solve. So in the meantime, I'll share the I'll share that with you guys via screen share. So can go to Viet first. Is Viet? Do I have access now? Oh, cool. Okay. Problem solved. Let's do the scrambled. skip to 106 in the video for execution. So probably about a minute memo. Let's see. I mean, he started at like 13 seconds into the video, so like 53 memo. I guess the timer updates so we can just see. Yeah, like, okay, 53 memo. Oh, and we've got the odds on screen. Perfect. Okay, this one I'm excited to critique. So, which two flip case would that be? Just make sure I have the same scramble. Okay, yeah. So he rotated. Although, I'm wondering why he did it from that angle. I only see one actual flipped edge. Let's just rewatch that slowly. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why he is choosing to flip this edge. It's not something I've seen before. Because, like, this is... Here, wait one sec. Do two flips in a weird way? Okay. Interesting. So, well, I would not recommend doing it this way because pretty much just never, like, as a rule of thumb, never flip an edge that's, like, not already a flipped edge in its correct place. Because that's going to, like, make it harder to keep track of things as you trace through. Because you have parity. Even if you have parity, I wouldn't recommend that. So what you would do, well, there's a technique called pseudo swap. I'm not sure if you're fully familiar with it. I'll go over it just in case. But basically, since you ideally trace corners first, you can tell if you have parity after corners. So then when you're tracing edges, you're going to trace them in a way such that you're imagining the white-green piece over here and the white-red piece over here. So they're like pseudo swaps. Like that's just the word for it. Let's keep going through this solve. I mean, like the two flip alg itself was fine, but I wouldn't recommend flipping this one because it's like not already a flip. And it's not great to have to like do that full on like X2Y rotation thing. I guess like at some point down the line you'll want to like learn a two flip alg for like each UF plus something else case. So then you could just like set up to that type of thing. So like for example, if you wanted to flip these two edges, you could do like an M2. That sets up to like a UF LD flip. So then if you know an alg for that, you can just do it pretty easily. And then just undo your M2 setup at the end. You flip the yellow, blue, and white, red because white, red is the buffer. Okay, so the thing is, you want to flip this one flipped edge along with what is actually located at your buffer at the end of the solve. So I'll show you how that would work. So I'm just going to do my normal comps first. So here to here, and here to here, and keeping it going. Oh, so with the pseudo swap, we would go to here next because we want the white green piece to be here for it to be considered pseudo solved. So here to here, here to here, here to here. And now we're just left with the buffer and this flipped edge back here. I think it'll just make it a lot easier on like mentally to just flip whatever that standalone flipped edge is along with the whatever is located at UF at the end of edges. Because the way you did it is I guess it's very non-conventional because like the reason people don't use it is that you have to like identify where the piece belonging at UF is in addition to actually going through the tracing. And by just like saving it to the end, you just, it streamlines things a lot easier. So let's keep this going. Okay. Actually, I have to scramble the cube back up. One sec. Just gonna go back to the beginning of the video to scramble. Okay. So yeah, the QP column was very normal. So that's just spec HU. It's not out of the question, but it doesn't have a very good flow when you do like a B move and then four mover with M and U stuff. What I would recommend doing is an F prime setup, and then you have an L and E four mover in the E layer like that. So F prime, L2, E prime, L2, E. Okay, let's keep going. So for ML or RU FL, you could do S prime, U prime to like set up to an A mover with these three stickers. But I think it's a lot easier to do S U prime. And so you're doing an S instead of an S prime. That sets you up to a five mover with R and E moves. And just like finding stuff like that will come down to not only playing around with the cube on your own, but just like looking through already existing comp tables to see what's out there. Anyways. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Let's see. We do U wide R/S. Let's see. I think that would be for HN. What I was going over was HU. So yeah, they're different cases. But for the one you type the alg out for, that is a good alg, yeah. So I guess somebody mentioned you doing for this case HN or LB RB. We do U wide R, and you have this four mover, and then just undo that. So yeah. Anyways. Okay. So TY is next, or X with specs. I use Y, so that's just what I'm used to calling it. So after you do the U, I think it makes more sense to do an L prime than an R prime. They have the same effect on like the edges relative positions to each other, but by doing an L prime, you end up having to turn on one fewer axis, which makes the flow better. Because when you do the R prime, then you have to do L moves in addition to that. But if you do an L prime, you're only doing L moves, so you can stay in the same grip the whole time. Okay. And then we've got, well, I guess he did the flip at the beginning, so that's why we don't have anything else. So let's just go over the corner comps. Interesting. So you have here to here, or DBL, RDB. His first choice was to do a B, which sets you up to a pure com here already. So I am curious as to why he decided to do a D2 into a pure com when you already have a just as good pure com without the D2. So you could do a V, RDR prime, so that inserts this piece up here, U prime interchange, and then just undo both of those, undo setup. See, bit of a pause there, which is fine. I guess something I want to mention though is that B moves should generally be avoided if possible as like setups. So like something I'd recommend doing for this case instead is like R2 prime D prime. So most of your corner combos you do want to keep RUD gen anyway. So like R2 prime D prime, and then you have an 8 mover. What I use is a little weird. I'm gonna not go over that in the interest of not throwing you off, because I think sticking to the basics with like the type of alg I just went over is perfectly acceptable. At least until a certain point. Anyways, actually, yeah. So let me show a similar example for ED. It's like you can do U prime R, and that sets you up to an RUD 8 mover. Whereas the one you did, B2, it doesn't flow the greatest because you have this B2 and then these other moves that you have to be in a much different position for. Okay. Yeah, I'll say the alg you chose for QK is fine. As always, there is something that could probably be done a little better, but like I think with where you're at right now, this is like a perfectly acceptable choice. Bit of a pause. So I guess like compared to the other students I've gone over, Viet is kind of in his like own stage of his solving journey with around like a minute memo. So at that point, I'd definitely be recommending that you memo corners first, as like more long-term memo where you're like converting it to images and then holding on to that as you go through edge memo, then edge exec, and then eventually at the end of the solve come back to corners. I think what I'd recommend for someone at his stage is to just have a predefined structure to your memo, like I was kind of saying before. You can like veer away from it at times, maybe like do either like rush one of your reviews if you think it like the scramble's easy and you can like hold on to it pretty well, or even take a risk and cut it out altogether. You just really want to make sure that whatever system you're using is giving you like pretty reasonable accuracy level. Let's say like 50% or so is like a good target. Let's see image, so corners, images, edges, audio. Okay. Yeah, glad you do that. That's definitely the right track to be on. Yeah, and over time you'll be pausing less as you just practice more, do more solving sessions. Okay, so VG, this is one of those cases where you have a good way to do it with RU and D, and I'd recommend just sticking to that. Because LD, you should also kind of avoid L moves for the most part. To kind of be switching between this script for R moves and this script to L moves does take away from the flow of your solving. So, I guess, wait, I think he did QK before, yeah. So it's good that he's like breaking into twists like that. That's a good habit. To do VK with RU and D moves, the simplest thing that comes to mind is doing a U R2. So we have these two up here interchangeable with like a U2. And this is our third one. We can cycle them like that. Another option is, no, honestly, that's all. No, that first option is all you really need for now. Let's keep going. L2 U2 into a Y perm. Okay. So I think Viet's at a point where it's good to just learn individual parity algs for each case. I mean, there are only 21 cases, so it's like PLL, but the thing is like this is a lot easier to learn than PLL because like a lot of the algs come down to the same idea. So like for example, the B case or UBR is just a JB perm. And then like the K case or FDR is a setup into that JB perm. So U R U prime. They're doing it. So that's about it. And I guess that's pretty much it. I guess if anybody has, final questions, now's a good time to ask. Would have liked to go into, more detail for certain things, but there's only so much time with 1 hour, so I'd definitely say you know, signing up for the 3-month course is a good idea if you want to see me go deeper into these. And there's a very wide variety of comms and finger tricks that are good to get used to, especially as you start to approach a pretty advanced level. So where do I recommend learning parity algs? I mean, a lot of the blind tables have them. Pretty sure Elias does. Let's see. Yeah, so
guys, and for those who are still watching, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the chat right now. We have another minute or so before the chat ends and Tommy has to start his course. So if you have questions, you can post them right now. And Tommy, you just confirmed the parity algs are in Elliot's sheet, or Elliot's sheet has parity algs, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I guess as far as figuring out how to finger trick them, let's see. I'm just gonna do a quick YouTube search because I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head if there are good videos out there about it. So I'm just gonna.
We have a question here from Nicholas Carpenter asking, when should you stop practicing based on a success rate standpoint? So I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that question. Do you mean like in one session, if you think they're getting too low of a success rate, if you should stop practicing for now, or if you mean like in terms of improvement, if there's a time that you should stop practicing? Do you think you understand the question, Tommy? When should you stop practicing based on a success rate standpoint?
The way I interpreted it was like, what is the threshold you want your accuracy to be at before moving on to a stricter review system? And I think around 50% is a good target. If your success rate is significantly less than 50%, then you're doing something too risky that you're gonna struggle to get used to. And if you're getting 70% or more, odds are you could be improving a little faster by cutting out part of your review.
Yeah, because that is a good point. Like if your success rate is too high, that can actually be a bad thing because it means that you have room to try and push yourself to go faster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Although we also have somebody else asking, do you have any recommendations for not DNFing while competing? I think that's also something important.
Last
question.
I mean, as far as competing mindset goes, it's so as far as you can get from a one-size-fits-all approach. I think you really just need to figure out what works, what type of routine works for managing your nerves. What I tend to do is just for events I really care about, 3 blind, take a few deep breaths before I start my solve. But what works for me won't necessarily work for you because the whole cubing psychology thing. There's still a lot of unanswered questions about what what's best. So I guess just try to be have a good good success rate in practice, and then that'll ideally transfer over to a good success rate in comp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess try and replicate what the competition environment at home and do it well at home, and then do your best in competition, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I think that'll be the last question because it is 8:01 and Tommy has a course at 8, so we're already 1 minute late. So I just want to really quickly thank everybody for participating in the stream, everybody who's watching this online afterwards as well. If you have any other comments, then definitely feel free to comment in the description. And if you're interested in hearing more, if maybe you had your solves analyzed today, maybe you didn't, but if you'd like to have your solves analyzed in the future, if you'd like to have more coaching from Tommy, then definitely reach out to us at cubing.life. And you can also send us an email and arrange for some coaching with Tommy as well, or to take Tommy's advanced blindfolded course, we are planning on starting a session in September or so. So that is the course where Tommy goes through essentially everything that you need to know to get into advanced blindfolded solving. So if you're interested in blind, then that is definitely, I think, a very good course for you. So I also want to say thanks to Tommy. And I will let you go, though. I don't want to keep these students waiting too long. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. I'm stopping the stream right now.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so I stopped the stream. And I think